You replace every drop of water in your body with heavy water. It looks the same. It tastes the same. Your thirst is quenched. But inside your cells, a subtle, heavy war begins. The fundamental physics of your biology are now shifting slightly. Deuterium is just hydrogen with an extra neutron. It is slightly heavier. The body does not notice the difference at first. For a few days, everything feels normal. Then the kinetic isotope effect kicks in. Chemical bonds become harder to break. Reactions slow down. A microscopic lag begins to plague every single biological process. The internal clock of your metabolism starts to stutter. The machinery of life is suddenly grinding. Water molecules are the scaffolding of life. Enzymes rely on precise timing to fold proteins and trigger reactions. Heavy water disrupts this timing. The extra mass of deuterium makes the bonds stronger and more stubborn. This is the kinetic isotope effect in action. Hydrogen bonds are the glue of the DNA double helix. Now that glue is too strong. DNA replication slows to a crawl. The double helix resists unzipping. Mitosis. The process of cell division becomes an uphill battle. Your body attempts to replace dead skin and blood cells, but the machinery is jammed. The biological conveyor belt stops moving. Your cells are effectively frozen in a state of chemical stubbornness. You feel fine for a while, then the hair starts to fall out. Not because of stress, not because of disease, your follicles simply forgot how to divide. The instructions are there, the energy is there, the water is just too heavy to move. The disaster spreads to the nervous system. Neurotransmitters rely on rapid ion exchange. With heavy water, the signals lag. Synapses fire with a noticeable delay. Thinking becomes a chore, reflexes vanish. The brain is essentially running on a high-latency connection. Meanwhile, the mitochondrial power plants are failing. The proton gradient required to make ATP is disrupted by the heavier mass of deuterium. Energy production plummets. Fatigue sets in. But it is not a normal tiredness. It is a systemic failure of the cellular battery. Your muscles twitch as the ion channels struggle to push heavy ions across membranes. The heart continues to beat, but the rhythm is sluggish. Every heartbeat is a heavy lift. The biological cost of existing has just increased by a fraction of a percent, but that is enough to kill. Total systemic collapse is inevitable. The body reaches a tipping point where roughly 25% of the water is replaced. At this stage, the mitotic machinery fails entirely. The lining of the gut stops regenerating. The intestinal wall thins. Nutrients leak into the bloodstream. The immune system vanishes because white blood cells can no longer divide to fight infection. Your body is now a fragile shell. The chemistry of life requires a specific speed. By replacing light hydrogen with deuterium, the speed limit of your biology has been lowered. The enzymes are now too slow to keep up with the demands of survival. Organs begin to shut down in a clinical sequence. First the gut, then the bone marrow, then the liver. There is no pain, only a profound, crushing sense of metabolic inertia. You are not poisoning yourself in the traditional sense. You are simply making your chemistry too slow to exist. The universe requires a certain velocity for life. You have lost it. Now consider the physics of your corpse. You are slightly denser than a normal human. This is a negligible difference for a coffin, but a fascinating one for a physicist. If you were to be cremated, the heavy water residue would leave a distinct isotopic signature. The carbon remains, but the water that evaporated was heavy. The ash is chemically unique. Imagine a world where everyone drank heavy water. The entire biosphere would slow down. Forests would grow in slow motion. Animals would move with a lethargic, heavy grace. Evolution would grind to a halt because mutations require the very chemical instability that deuterium suppresses. The planet becomes a museum of slow-motion biology. Everything is stable. Everything is heavy. The chaotic dance of light hydrogen is replaced by the plodding march of deuterium. The oceans become heavy. The rain falls slightly faster. The atmosphere shifts. The very foundation of organic chemistry is rewritten. You have not just killed yourself. You have conceptually murdered the concept of agility. The world is now a place of high viscosity and low energy. A silent, heavy, stagnant wasteland where the only thing that moves quickly is the clock. In the end, you succumb to a total lack of new cells. Your body simply stops renewing itself. You are a biological statue that forgot how to breathe. Science calls this metabolic inhibition. In plain English, you are too heavy to live. The irony is that you are chemically identical to a healthy human. You just have a few extra neutrons. You are a masterpiece of physics and a complete failure of biology. The result is a very heavy, very dead stickman. However, there is a final problem. The heavy water in your tissues is now a hazardous material. The local coroner is annoyed. He has to file a special isotopic waste report with the Environmental Agency. Your death has created a significant amount of paperwork for the city. This is why we drink regular water. It is lighter and involves less paperwork. Subscribe to the What If Club to see what other ways we can accidentally break physics.